Words like oneer, or long take, or tracking shot have become like buzzwords in film discourse recently. More than that, our discussion of this technique has become very polarized. Either the director is a skilled genius, or he's a complete hack for resorting to such a gimmick. Why is this? Why aren't split diopters trending? Look, I'm no expert. I'm just as curious as you are to the value and importance of the oneer. Often I'll be watching something, and then when I realize it, I'll shout at the screen, "There's no cuts! There's been no cuts!" But I'm also suspicious at their ubiquity in modern cinema. It's as if every director is trying to one-up other oneers. One-up other oneers? Which leads me to this question. Yeah! Actually, first, we should probably talk about what they're not good for. You know, cuts. Well, duh, Dan. But think about it for a second. We as an audience have become so used to cuts in film that we, 1, notice if it's absent more and more in film, and 2, have forgotten what cuts, and truly effective cuts, can accomplish. All filmmaking is manipulation. Camera angles, color, lenses, edits, and everything else are used to try and make you feel a certain way. And different techniques are better at eliciting certain feelings than others. Simply by listening to me speak right now, you are being manipulated. I'm trying to get you to think a certain way, or at least to follow my argument. This isn't a bad thing. Language is essential, and cinema is its own language. And like any language, the manner in which you speak can create meanings beyond those inherent to the words themselves. Every filmmaking technique has a purpose and an effect. Short sentences can create emphasis. And a long sentence can connect many ideas into a singular thought, while simultaneously relaxing and drawing in a reader. And all this applies to film. A match cut, like the one in 2001: A Space Odyssey, can create meaning by connecting 2 different images together. It's like poetry. Certain kinds of poetry have their own limitations. Likewise, in a film, a montage can create meaning by juxtaposing 2 different shots back to back. Close-ups allow us to see and feel a character's emotions in an empathetic way. High-angle shots can make someone appear weak. Low angles can make someone appear powerful. Now, it's not a perfect analogy, obviously, but my point is this. When you use one filmmaking technique exclusively, you have the opportunity to mine that technique for its full value. But you sacrifice the value of every other technique. Watching Rope recently, I realized that Alfred Hitchcock's one-take movie actually brilliantly utilizes a well-timed cut.
Task he usually performed very competently, but on this particular morning his touch was perhaps a trifle too delicate, because one of the subjects for our dinner table suddenly rebelled. Like Lazarus, he rose.
That's a lie!
Philip.
Did you feel that? That change in dynamics? Even without knowing the full context of the film, you can tell that something important happened right there. And that's the power of editing, creating meaning by juxtaposing 2 images one after another. In a film with very few obvious cuts, well, okay, maybe they're obvious if you're looking for them, Hitchcock decides to use a hard cut to Jimmy Stewart to communicate instant suspicion. Throughout Rope, Hitchcock did a tremendous job in creating a variety of meaningful frames through blocking and by gliding the camera throughout the room. But the choice to hard cut here escalates the drama by making it clear to the audience that Brandon and Philip have to walk this tightrope of murder with even more care. And yes, that pun was so intended. For all that oneers and tracking shots can do, they can't do everything. And by using them exclusively, a filmmaker is purposefully limiting his own options and ability to communicate. The long takes of Rope force the viewer into the guilt-ridden room. We watch in real time as Brandon and Philip try to get away with murder. But Hitchcock wisely eschews the one-take gimmick when it no longer serves the story he's telling, because effective communication is always, always, always more important than style. Gosh, I hope Michael Bay is watching. Sam Mendes, the director of 1917, puts it this way: I wanted to tell the story in 2 hours of real time. In a movie that operates more like a ticking clock thriller at times, I wanted an audience to feel every second passing and take every step with them. When something frightening or intense or dramatic is happening on screen, the one take forces you into that with the characters. It forces our eyes on the action. It can be hypnotic, especially if done in a way that doesn't draw attention to itself. But it also, as Mendes points out, can immerse you in the time of the story. You experience the passage of time in the same way that the characters do. Oneers are also brilliantly utilized in action scenes. They help you understand the geography of what's going on when you can see all of the characters in the same frame. 1917 succeeds by taking this technique and mining it for all of its worth. They get the full value out of this cinematic technique. Heck, the lady sitting next to me kept spilling her popcorn on me because she was so engrossed in the film. The final product is visceral and highly engrossing, but it completely eliminates so many options that could have possibly served the story better. Things like dramatic irony, or reaction shots. And while I wasn't as emotionally moved as I probably would have liked to be, or as the movie would have liked me to be, I was still physically rattled by the experience. 1917 showcases the wide range that films can have. A movie doesn't have to be all things at all times. It can laser focus on a single technique and still be effective. So, what are Oneers good for? Well, a lot of things, it turns out. But it's just one tool. It's just one word in the language of cinema. True, it can be more noticeable than others, more flashy, but that doesn't mean that it's more important. The inclusion of a oneer should not mean that one director's a genius or that he's a complete hack. And as viewers, we shouldn't be so quick to marvel at the presence of a long take just for the sake of having a long take, but rather, we should appreciate it if, and only if, it adds to the communication of the story. For those of us who want to have a career in the film world, whether that be an actor, a writer, or writing about actors, we should be challenging our own film vocabularies, going beyond just, "There were no cuts, no cuts!" More often than not, many of us, myself included, speak the language of cinema as if we're a first-year Spanish student in high school, saying "Donde está" and "Me gusta," as if that's the only words people say. And with that, I leave you with the moment you've probably been waiting for this entire video.
Wow. Ooh. Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely
You don't know nothing about no war.
Everybody knows war. Who? Yeah.